Alrighty, guys. Good evening to you all. Got a few things to discuss tonight in regards to the upcoming severe weather events. My name is Ryan, alongside Joel here.
Hello.
You're Michigan Storm Chasers. This is going to be an interesting discussion here. It's a pretty straightforward discussion, but it's very complicated. So we have 3 days so far via the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, introducing severe risks here. For Michigan. The first one is going to be Saturday. The second one is going to be Sunday. And the third is going to be Monday. Okay. Potentially on Tuesday as well. We're not going to discuss Tuesday at all. We're just going to focus on these 3 days tonight. So, first and foremost, the SPC risk is a level 1 out of 5, which is called a marginal risk. It's there in dark green. There's also a slight risk in yellow, level 2 out of 5, for Ironwood in the far western half of the UP. So, what is going on Saturday? Well, the answer across much of the state during the daytime is nothing too much is expected. It should be a primarily dry day across much of the state, if not all the state. Although pop up storms are possible, the overall severe threat ramps up after, we're going to say, right around sunset and after sunset, and especially after midnight. So, looking at the forecast model via the HRRR from this afternoon, looking at the Saturday night time period, here's the afternoon time frame here. We're going to go through the afternoon. We're going to see nothing in the way of showers here in the state. Maybe a few pop-ups in some places, like here's one in Lenawee County up here in Lapeer area, a couple in the UP as well. But overall, widespread storms are not expected during the day Saturday. We get towards sunset. Watch to the west here. We have pop-ups going on in Wisconsin here. This is at 10 p.m., but also watch up there. It's actually the wrong model I'll show you guys. Show you the 12Z actually. This is the earlier model we're looking at. So afternoon Saturday is more so dry. We get to the evening time frame though. Check out the western UP there. A little bit of a bow echo there tries to come through a little bit later on towards that 10 p.m. Eastern time frame. So that's going to be the general idea. But what we're kind of watching closely, if you go back to the SPC, is there is a marginal risk that does extend into the extreme western half of lower Michigan along US 131 toward the Lake Michigan shoreline. So what we're kind of watching is this secondary line back here. We're going to keep an eye on this area right back here. That's going to track the south and east towards us here in Michigan, and that will likely reach us toward the mid-morning hours, or should I say early to mid-morning hours here into Sunday morning. So this model does show some storms popping up out ahead of that overnight, 2, 3 in the morning here. Those also could be on the stronger side as well, but the main line is going to be back here in Wisconsin. So we have to keep an eye and see how that evolves. The latest model, though, has a little bit different picture. The 18Z, which is what I showed you guys initially here, it shows really nothing happening in the UP in general, but it does still show development here in Wisconsin that does push across Lake Michigan into portions of western Michigan overnight Sunday into the early to mid-morning hours on Sunday. And another bow echo comes in a little bit later on Sunday, and that's where the model ends. So that's going to be a couple different scenarios possible there, but the overall expectation is the western half of the UP would be in a severe risk for the highest concern, at least for Saturday night into Sunday, early Sunday morning. Now, looking at the NAM3 model here, we're going to look at this model as well as a couple other ones here in a second, but the overall consensus here is that a squall line is going to take shape somewhere up there in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area and push across the UP, perhaps into lower Michigan as well. So these models are kind of all over the place, and that's to be expected with these types of systems. We get these general, we call them northwest flow type of systems here. The leading short waves, we can spark thunderstorms, stuff like that. It's all very, very fluid. So one forecast model, should I say, is just not going to cut it. So overall, the consensus and the general communication we give to you guys is expect lines of storms overnight Saturday night for the western UP primarily, but also watching that lower Michigan area as we've seen back on that 18Z run here of the HRRR model. If that can push into western lower Michigan, it'd be towards that sunrise on Sunday there. So keep an eye on that for sure, but nothing is set in stone as of right now. And again, your SPC risk here does have the slight risk bumping into the Western UP, but also the marginal for the central parts of UP and also the western half of the lower peninsula. Now, we're going to move into Sunday. We have a severe risk for the general same areas here, a little bit further into central lower Michigan there, as well as the western half of the UP again. So, watching the exact same areas, again, the same communication here it does exist. With this northwest flow pattern, we're going to have again a complex of storms possible. But here's where we're going to stop and just kind of give you guys a disclaimer here. These northwest flow systems are very fluid, they can ramp up quickly, ramp down quickly. Right now, models really don't show much of anything happening Sunday night. That's mainly more than likely because Sunday morning, the storms here across much of the state here may try to take instability out of the atmosphere, cloud us over, take away our ingredients for anything severe wise later on Sunday night. So we were talking last night about a potential squall line Sunday night. That does look like it's kind of on the downtrend here, but we're not confident at all with it, given the overall pattern. So right now we are confident enough to kind of say that Sunday morning, overnight Saturday into Sunday morning is going to be that time frame, our first time frame at least, to watch for severe weather. So we're going to leave it at that. We get into Monday, there is a slight risk again in the southwestern part of lower Michigan. It's very close again to the southern part of the UP. Expansions, upgrades, downgrades, everything's on the table here. In regards to these next couple of days here, it's a very fluid forecast, a domino effect in full effect here, where each day will affect the next. But what we can tell you is the first shot at what we're going to be looking at here is going to be right around Saturday night into Sunday morning for the western UP, as well as potentially western lower Michigan. Damaging winds should be your primary concern here as bow echoes tend to bow out. We call them bow echoes for a reason. They call them wind bags sometimes. So expect multiple rounds potentially as well throughout these time periods, but back to back to back days here potentially Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So again, the overall threat is damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes would be generally based on how each day plays out. So the hail threat would definitely be a little bit more higher than a tornadic threat. But Monday in particular, if things can trend correctly, Monday in particular has what appears to be the best bet for anything tornadic wise. And even then, it's not a very high risk that we're seeing, at least at this point. But again, things can ramp up and change with these systems very, very quickly. So the best thing we can tell you guys to do is prepare for multiple rounds. Our confidence is low. The first shot would be overnight Saturday into Sunday morning. And then how far east or how far, where this thing tracks exactly is still up in the air as well. Some models do split the track further north into Michigan. Some are further south in Michigan. It's a very confusing forecast here, but it's pretty straightforward when you just think of it as a way of complexes of storms are possible throughout Saturday night into the Monday night time frame. I probably confused a lot of you guys. I didn't mean to, but the best we can tell you here is a general broad spectrum. All right. We'd be happy to answer questions. Also, just kind of going in off this a little bit better here. The SPC risk are the official outlooks given by man-made meteorology type of stuff here, or not man-made hand-drawn meteorologists from Norman, Oklahoma. There's also a model we like to use called the CSU learning model. This is what it looks like for Sunday. Most all of Michigan there firmly within a 15% plus probability range. Into Monday, it does have a 30% contour here, probability range for parts of lower Michigan. And then as we get into that Tuesday time frame, the threat then shifts south of us here. So any risk here should be over by Tuesday morning. I just want to throw those out there. I know a lot of our followers like to look at the CSU, so I figured I'd just kind of mention that as well. It's a model; it's not a man-made thing, but it does show agreement that severe weather is definitely a possibility here. I wish I could get more specific with you guys, but at this point in time with this system, just pay attention to future outlooks, whether it's from us, the SPC, local NWS, local meteorologists. Just keep an eye on the weather throughout this time period.
We did have a $5 super chat from Pacify.
Yes, thank you.
As always, for your support.
I see a lot of questions here about expansions, upgrades, stuff like that. Everything's on the table here, guys, at this point. Expansions with risk, upgrades, downgrades, everything's on the table. These are the types of systems that can ramp up very quickly. We can go from a marginal to an enhanced very quickly, but the same is also true. We can go from enhanced back down to a marginal very quickly. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Overall confidence is low in time frames and hazards and locations at this point. But we'll do our best here to keep you guys tuned in and aware. And what we can tell you for number one, we're going to focus on the risk here Saturday night into Sunday morning. That's going to be round one. That's where our focus is going to lie. And then we can start looking ahead here. If we have more confidence, which we don't right now, but if we had more confidence, we'll look into Sunday and then also Monday.
And we also have to look for that mid-level support too for long periods of damaging winds. So like the 500 and the 700 millibar charts, very important for damaging winds.
Yeah, I'm looking at the upper level support past that 500 millibar. We get to the 3 and 200 millibars. Our support lacks up there. But as Joel said, the most important is going to be right around that 500 to 700 millibar range, which is a mid to lower levels there. And as we see there is a little bit of support here Sunday morning here for this first complex. In fact, we can see the shortwave if we were to draw here. You see these little kinks in these little flows, or the kinks and ripples in the waves here. That's your short wave, which is where that complex here is riding off of. And that just ride kind of more so southeasterly into the state. So some support there at the 500 millibar for this system. So that definitely bears some watching. We go down to 700 millibars there, and there is your complex of storms via the NAM model. Sunday morning. This is 5 a.m. right now on this model here. So very, very easily seen here. And that's going to be, a 70 knot, 700 millibar reading right there across Lake Michigan. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a difficult forecast. It's not going to be easy to communicate this to you guys, but all we can give you guys is one day at a time. Make sure you guys are prepared and staying updated here. We're going to have updates on our page, rapid fire with this type of system, with this type of a prolonged setup for a couple of days here. So Diane, the overall chance of rain for Saturday is quite low, or tomorrow, should I say. There is a chance of scattered pop-ups across the state, especially along lake breeze boundaries, stuff like that. But overall, it should be a primarily dry day tomorrow. It'll be humid. It'll be kind of warm. But don't really expect too much in the way of widespread activity until after 10 p.m. and especially after midnight for lower Michigan. So if you got plans tomorrow, I wouldn't cancel them, but just pay attention to the sky for some pop-ups possible. And again, I see a couple questions in here about flooding. Yes, it can become a concern, especially in certain areas that have had 4 or 5 inches of rainfall from the last storms. I could see some flood risk here, but this shouldn't be a prolonged rain event by any means. So perhaps an hour or two of heavy rain, depending on the location, definitely could see some localized flooding again. Mike asked the question, what makes us think that the tornado risk is lower? So a few things, Mike. So number one, the mid-level to upper-level support is lacking big time for tornadoes. And also the spin in the atmosphere doesn't look like it's favorable until we get to that Monday time frame. And also there's capping in place as well, so that could also dampen things. There's a couple things, but mainly your upper level support and your low level spin is not as sufficient as what we want to see. Not gonna rule those out, but at this point it's not the main threat at all. Any questions, guys? Yeah, Jesse, be remnants.
All the summer has been is wet, humid, and annoying. It's a great summary right there.
I agree. I really do.
Tornadoes aren't the main threat. Main threat will be damaging winds. There is some low-level support for some spin for sure across pretty much every day, but I think the main time frame, as Ryan said, we're looking at on Monday afternoon probably as of right now. And again, that's the NAM model, which the NAM model's all right, but once we get into our short range models like the HRRR and RRFS, probably, and we'll start looking at solidifying our ingredients, or I guess our hazards.
So tomorrow afternoon time frame, expect an update from us on what to expect for Sunday morning. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty here in regards to the exact track, exact areas, timing, stuff like that. We should have a good idea by tomorrow afternoon or evening. So expect a little bit of a written, detailed forecast. I don't know if Joel, if you want to go live by yourself tomorrow, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, unfortunately. So Joel's in charge. So I'll leave it up to him, but I'll do my best, Joel, to get a written forecast or summary at least up on the page for that time frame for our first round here. So
yeah, if you want, I don't know if you want to do like a morning video. I don't know if you're going to be busy or not.
I'll do a morning video. Yeah.
Okay. If not, I'll do a briefing tomorrow night. Or I probably still will anyways. Sorry. The fires in Canada, yes, if you look outside right now, you could see a hazy sunset. Start to see a little bit of that smoke pour in. Again, this is going to be a statewide risk, so we can't really pinpoint exact locations of where the strongest is going to be, especially if it's a mesoscale convective system, MCS. Those are going to push across the majority of the state pretty much every single day. So
I do want to mention as well these SPC risks here. This one for Saturday, aka overnight Saturday. This one for Sunday. This one for Monday. These are likely going to change and shift, upgrade, downgrade, shift. Probably a lot. So these are just general guidelines for now. But I would not put too much stock in SPC outlooks with these types of patterns here. I say that not because I'm dissing the SPC. I'm saying that because these systems change more than you could blink and this thing will change. So these outlooks come out once a day at 2 to 4 in the morning. And between a 24-hour period, we have 4 more model runs. We have so much more data here. And a lot of mesoscale things can happen here. So don't put too much stock in SPC forecasts here until it's right around that day 1 time frame. Wake up tomorrow, we can have a good idea. But day 2, day 3, we're looking at here. Don't put too much stock in it. I do see the 00Z is rolling in now. So if we're on long enough, we'll take a peek at that. But for right now, I'll give you guys a little bit of an idea here of what the model's going back and forth on. So this morning's model run, for example, had a couple of different things happen. Number one, squall line up here in the western UP. But number two, it had these pop-ups here across the Lake Michigan, Wisconsin, West Michigan here at 2 in the morning, Sunday morning. And that turned into a little bit of a complex there. And that kind of joined together there. And then another one came on shore, and then another one behind that came on shore. So that was this morning. And then we go to the afternoon here. We look at a general consensus to get an idea. All we see is these pop-ups here in Wisconsin. There's nothing in the UP. And then the organization of multiple rounds is just a bunch of rain with some thunderstorms at this point. So these models are going to flip-flop a lot. And there's no one set model that we're kind of agreeing with right now. It's just looking at all of them and trying to get an idea of what's going to happen. And this morning, I can tell you guys that there was a pretty good consensus between models. We're going to have a line of storms push through sometime Sunday morning. For example, here's the NAM model this morning. Zoom this forward here. There is a few storms up there in the UP. There's your Bow Echo squall line here. That comes across the state Sunday morning, closer to sunrise. That comes across the state. That's the NAM model. Also, the FV3 model, we call it the HRW a lot. That also shows something for the morning hours as well. So a lot of things are changing here. So stay with us. We'll keep you guys updated, but it's just a very fluid forecast.
And for the majority of Saturday, for those who are asking, it should be, so that's tomorrow. Majority of tomorrow is going to be fairly dry, kind of like today was. You might see more pop-up showers and thunderstorms throughout the day. But then we start looking into Saturday night into Sunday morning is when that threat starts to pick up, especially earlier on in the night for the UP. And then as it moves to the east, we would see that threat potentially for central and southern lower Michigan, perhaps northern lower too, depending on where the MCV exactly tracks. And that would be overnight into Sunday morning.
Yep, so, and this is the FV3 real quick. Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, like the timing wise, we're starting to nail down Sunday a little bit, but we don't really know much for Monday because again, they kind of train off each other depending on how the day before it goes.
And the FV3 is rolling the screen here, another model we look at, and that also showed development here Sunday morning across lower Michigan. So we have some confidence we're going to be impacted by something Sunday morning here, starting in the western UP and kind of tracking towards us. How far east it gets, if it's going to, dive south, there's a lot of things we don't know yet. I wish we did, but we don't.
Yes, clouds, storms like today when there's no flow, that happens all the time, Brittany. You have these instability storms, we call them. They pop up, and then instability or the updrafts can't stay sustained, and they come crashing right back down. Sometimes that gets associated with what we call a microburst or wet microburst.
See, Drew's asking here, first off, Scott, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate your support of the channel. Welcome to the team, Scott.
Welcome to the team.
I do see Drew's asking behind the scenes what the current radar is across the state. I just want to point out there is a shower directly over the Grand Rapids radar here in Cascade Charter Township along 96 here, just outside Grand Rapids. There's also a few showers over toward Vassar, Frankenmuth area. Not concerning at all. Also down here by Kalamazoo, there's a shower directly over or about over downtown there. So just want to take that and point out that real quick that we do have a couple areas and showers and storms there. Nothing is expected to be severe at all today. Just want to point that out for you guys. Any chance of tornado Saturday night, Sunday? The answer is it's not a very high threat, but it's not zero. The main concern will be damaging winds. We're pretty confident in that. Tornadoes should not become a huge concern. But of course, we can't rule a couple out.
And one thing we haven't really mentioned is the hail threat, and that is expected to be fairly low until Monday. Potentially, we're looking at some really wide areas of surface-based cape and most unstable cape in general for that Monday time frame, where you have lapse rates between 8 and 9 degrees Celsius per kilometer. And again, that's the change in temperature over height, and so it's freezing really quick as the further up you get into the atmosphere. So any storms that do become maybe isolated on Monday would have the chance probably for all hazards. And again, that also goes with the tornado threat as well.
Keep in mind as well, here is your surface cape or instability storm fuel, whatever you want to call it. We're getting upwards here in the morning hours of Sunday, over 1,000 to 2,000. But Sunday night here, we see a good resurgence of close to 3,000 surface cape here on one of the models here. It's going to be a really juiced atmosphere here. We typically look for cape to be over 1,000 joules. We're looking at 3,000 at this point, and potentially higher for Monday. And we go back here, Wisconsin, we're looking at, upwards of 5,000 joules. So if that verifies, that's a very juiced and very unstable environment there. Looking at most unstable cape here across Michigan, those appear to be close to the surface, right around that 3,500 joules.
Usually if you click on a sounding, it's a lot higher too, which, it's runs a little hot.
Wait for it to load in here. It says 3,500 on the surface, 3,100 in the mix layer, which is a lot.
Yeah, you don't need a whole lot of joules out there, energy for any sort of severe weather. You can have as low as probably 1,000. You said 750 in chat, Jack. Definitely, probably want at least 1,000, but it also depends on how much 3 kp you have as well, which is like another cheat code that we look at for low level instability. And you also have to have surface vorticity too.
Yeah, there's a lot of ingredients we don't really talk about to you guys to keep it simple, but there's a lot of things.
Yeah. Joules and measurement of energy, and it's spelled Joule, not jewel like a diamond. Goes my phone.
Does this northwest flow increase storm chances compared to other flows? It can. It can. The flow itself doesn't really cause storms. It's the short waves within the flow. But overall, with we call it a ridge-like pattern, where the ridge is going up and over the United States, and below that ridge, there's not really much in the way of any flow at all, which allows warm, moist air to build north up to us. And when you have a jet stream basically over us or a ridge over us, that's going to give you your winds. And then it just takes a little bit of a short wave, or sometimes it's a boundary of some sort, kick things off and get going. So the overall pattern, it's very typical in summertime, but we want to look for those short waves, not just the flow itself. Joey asks, is there slim on all 3 days? So that's a good question, Joey. The answer, the easy answer is yes. The harder answer is it's all going to come down to a lot of mesoscale details. So we do have slim. We'll say we do have slim for Sunday morning in place, although we're going to have a little bit of a cap to overcome. But then Sunday morning could take a few ingredients out of slim out for later in Sunday evening, for example. And then that goes for Monday as well. So the broad answer as of right now, yes, each day is expected to have slim, but there's a lot of other things that come into factors that could, take away some ingredients. So SLIM is a acronym for our 4 main ingredients for severe weather. It stands for shear, wind shear, lift, instability, and moisture. What does cap mean? Heather asks. So cap is basically a lid on the atmosphere of warm air. It also acts, basically think of it as a pot that you're boiling noodles in. That's going to be like your updraft of a thunderstorm. When it gets to the boil, it can boil over, and there's your thunderstorm. We put a cap on that, it's not going to boil over. So it just kind of puts a lid on the atmosphere, so to speak. So a cap basically just hinders or can hinder severe weather risks. There are things that can overcome the cap. There are a couple things, we can break through that cap sometimes, but that's what a cap generally is. So Sunday severe risk, we're going to say Sunday morning right now would be a good general time frame to watch, potentially as early as about 5 or 6 in the morning. West Michigan right now does appear to have a little bit of more concern, but confidence overall is low in regards to the exact track, intensity, stuff like that. A secondary round would be possible later on Sunday, although again, confidence is extremely low because how Sunday morning plays out will affect Sunday evening. So right now, expect Sunday morning for Lower Michigan. If you're up in the UP, especially up here in this yellow and green zone up there by Houghton, Marquette areas, Ironwood areas, you guys would have a little bit more of a earlier concern, probably after 10, 11 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Joey, that's kind of my thinking right now. I do think if we don't get anything Sunday night, Monday could be a bigger type of day. But again, no confidence in that. That's just kind of a gut instinct based on what we're kind of seeing on models.
Welcome to the channel, Fancy. Yeah, we're more of a Michigan regional sort of group here, but hope you stick around. Again, for those who are new here, I myself am going to CMU for meteorology, so end of the year I should have my degree. Can't wait for that. And then everyone else here on staff also takes pride in the work they've done behind the scenes in becoming weather aware and weather knowledgeable. And we do have resources on our website to do that as well if you want to become more weather knowledgeable as well.
Fancy is from Kalamazoo. Welcome to the stream, Fancy. Good to have you here. I see a couple fire up chip comments, Joel.
Fire up chips.
Love it.
What a bet. If you're going to any CMU football games this year, I'll be there. Come say hi. What was the risk for February 26th this year? Boy, I think that was a slight.
You mean 27th?
Yeah, I was like 26th, 27th. I think it was slight.
Yeah, there was a slight risk for South Michigan, but up toward Grand Blanc, it was a marginal, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had a long year so far. A lot of we had February, and we had a couple March, a couple in April, and then we had the big May 7th day. June was just crazy, just back to back days, and then July happened. We had a couple, big windstorms, including, a couple tornadic supercells up in central Michigan here, and then we also had obviously the big wind event in Muskegon County into June. So central Michigan, Sue. I've been at CMU for a couple of years now.
So I see a couple comments here, just tuning in, want the scoop. So 3 days at least of potential severe weather. It's going to be a pretty easy forecast here. Confidence is low. We're going to take it one day at a time. Multiple rounds are possible throughout this 3-day period. The first round to watch out for is going to be Sunday morning if you're in lower Michigan, or late Saturday night into early Sunday morning if you're in the western UP. Time frames, exact locations, our confidence is still on the lower end of things, but there is some confidence we're going to see a little bit of a bow echo across Lake Michigan in toward West Michigan in general. Whether that tracks east or more southeast or perhaps due south, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, that's the first time frame to watch. And then again, after that, confidence drops even lower. Sunday night could see some more showers and storms. If it doesn't, though, it'd be due to Sunday morning's round of storms taking out the ingredients. And then Monday is another risk. I know the SPC doesn't have the entire state in a risk, but I'd be alert if you live anywhere in Michigan, just in case. I do think the risk would overall be highest over on the west side of Michigan, but I wouldn't let your guard down if you live over on the east side.
A question about the number of tornadoes in Michigan a year. So the average is 16. I think the most we had on record was in 74, I think.
2001, I believe.
2001. Okay.
I'll look. Hold on.
As I say, I know the 70s had a couple crazy years as well. Again, they've only been keeping track of solid records for every tornado since the 50s. So again, before 50s, the word tornado was banned. But I think it was the record number for Michigan in a year is like 43 or something, right?
I think it was 2001. I'm about to find out, but yeah, right around that 41 to 43 number sounds like accurate.
So,
So
we're
2001 had 42.
okay.
You said 74, Joel?
1974 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's 43 and 74. 76 had 42. Yep, that's definitely the highest. So 43 in 1974.
And I believe 1974 was the last year we had an F4 or higher in Michigan. So could say we are overdue, but again, it depends on what it hits.
Yep.
So what else we got here? The wind sound in a tornado. So that's just your wind making that roaring sound. Kind of like on a windy fall day, kind of have a roaring sound outside your window. It's just that, but multiply it by 4 times. Someone is revving their vehicle really loud outside my apartment. That I did not miss about being here. Yeah, Weberville definitely could have been EF3 last year again, but it just depends on what it hits. Similar to, I think, the Portage tornado and the Colon tornado back on May 7th also could have definitely been EF3. We were just lacking a little bit of instability that day.
I do want to say a note about Weberville. That tornado, Williamston and Weberville in general got extremely lucky that day.
Yeah.
Because the tornado, when I went out to survey that, it was only about a half mile to a mile south of where it started. And that was just south of Williamston.
Mm-hmm.
And then it tracked along 96 there. And then before it got to Weberville, it turned right and then went back east, missed Weberville, the town, and then tracked toward Fowlerville and lifted just before Fowlerville. So that could have been a whole lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that if that tornado would have hit either one of 3 of those towns, we probably would have had a little bit higher rating. And the same goes for the Colon Sherwood tornado this year as well. That was a beefy tornado that did a lot of damage, but luckily it was over the rural area. A few houses, of course, impacted, but had that tornado gone through a more populated area. And Portage itself is only 1 mile per hour off of being EF3 as is. So definitely an interesting stretch of 2 years here. Yeah, John, it did. Along 96 there, it did strip those trees down.
Hey, we can still get the thread up here. Just saying. I know the NAM had a couple rounds to northern lower. At least the past couple runs have. I don't know if the latest one has, but...
Where is the sim? Oh, it's down here. I'm already on sim reflectivity. Okay. Yeah, there you go. There's your Sunday night bow echo there. Pretty much statewide. And again, here's Monday. Another bow echo comes through. And perhaps another one back behind that one. So it's going to be an active stretch here. But yeah, Sunday night's going to be the first. Let's just take it one day at a time, guys. One system at a time. Let's start with Saturday night, tomorrow night / Sunday morning.
Another tornado-related question from Jazz. Why did they base the rating on damage done instead of speed recorded? Is a good question. We get asked a few times. The reasoning is because the beam height of the radar is not at the ground, unless you're, like right next to the radar site when it's like 100 feet off the ground. So within 5 miles of the radar site, basically, it's not accurate to the ground. You basically need a radar that's scanning at the surface, and we just don't have that anywhere. And I don't know how long. I don't know if we ever will, because it's hard to get radar technology in certain places. But if it passes by like a meter station, which there's not many, there's one in like every county or every other county, that's possible. Otherwise, damage is the best thing to do. And they have a decent scale system for that, but it does need some revamping because it is really hard to get an EF5 nowadays, especially with housing construction becoming a lot worse. And at least what we've seen, a lot of the new houses that are cookie cutter nowadays are not up to code.
Yeah. It's all about consistency. You got to have a scale that's consistent to rate off of. And like Joel just mentioned, radars are, you can't measure off wind speed unless you have an accurate ground measurement on every single tornado, which we just don't have.
Mm-hmm.
What's a bird fart tornado? Julie asks. That's a good question. It's just a term that chasers use to identify a very weak or very short-lived, some will call it a scuddy type of tornado. Very, just not a fully condensed, just kind of touches down, lifts back up. But it's a tornado nonetheless. But you know, a bird fart is more so those weaker and shorter lived.
Yes, EF5 it could be technically an EF5, but if it goes through a field and doesn't touch anything,
EFU.
It might be an EFU, yeah, which is undefined.
See a lot of questions about EF zeros as well. Like why is a tornado EF zero? That's like the lowest scale there. They start at zeros, they go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So EF zero, I believe, is 65 to, was it 85 miles an hour? Or is it
65 to 85 is EF0, yeah.
That's what I thought. So that's your wind speed for EF0 tornadoes.
Quick shameless plug. If you don't know anybody who does follow us for the next couple days, feel free to share what we do here at MSC for you guys. Again, we are severe. For those who are new here, we go severe for every single severe thunderstorm warning, every single tornado warning in the state of Michigan, 365 days a year. Again, what we do is all volunteer. So when we have time, we jump on here and do this stuff. So again, any way you support the page helps us out and helps get back to you guys. So we do appreciate you guys so far in our 18 months of existence, right?
Absolutely. You guys give us the platform to do this on, so it's all because of you guys.
Yep.
If you guys weren't here, we wouldn't be able to do this. I'm looking at the 00ZH-RRR, and I am confused.
Oh boy.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a peek at this. So this is the latest model coming in, guys. So it has a completely different look to this, kind of. It has a little bit of a squall line up there. It dives completely south and all of a sudden turns eastward. I've never seen something do that before.
Usually it turns the other way.
Yeah. So it has a bow echo coming across Lake Michigan here. And that's where the model stops at 5 a.m. Sunday morning. So UP still gets potential risk there. This says afternoon tomorrow, Joel. This is 4 p.m. That comes in just kind of, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know if I buy that at all. But that is interesting to say the least.
See what we mean by the models yo-yoing back and forth all the time? It's different every hour. Yep. This is what happens when it's MCS season.
Mesoscale convective system. Those are your big squall lines.
This is the deadliest tornado decade in Michigan since the 80s. Interesting. Well, that's because we don't really have many tornado fatalities in Michigan. We haven't really. But we had, I think, 2 in Gaylord and 1 in Livonia so far this year. But before Gaylord, I think the last time we had a tornado fatality was like the early 2000s. So that would make sense.
It's been a while.
Dust devils are not tornadoes. Those do not get rated as such. Landspouts can get rated, though. We've had 1 so far this year get rated as an EFU. That was in Cass City, I believe. Cold air pushing south from Canada. Yeah, kind of. But it really depends on the shear that we're getting right now, which there's a lot. Especially we're looking at that 500 millibar, the northwest flow. Of course, that is going to bring colder temperatures because it's further north. But yeah, so it's like a yes and no. Symptotic meteorology, so much fun. I cannot wait to take mesoscale meteorology this fall. That is like the missing puzzle piece I've just been waiting to take. Nothing cooking tonight.
No, tonight's going to be fine, guys.
Yep. Plenty of slim. Could be lacking a little bit of the shear aspect in terms of rotational shear for Sunday. But again, Monday, we're looking at preliminary, potentially, I guess, preliminary and potentially all sorts of all of the slim leading to all of the hazards being possible. Yeah, you have that steep lapse rates, especially lifted indices in the negative double digits. That's wild. We'll keep an eye on it for sure, though. We got to get through Sunday first.
One day at a time, guys. I see a lot of questions flowing in here for just joining. What's the overall consensus? So again, between Saturday night, so tomorrow night, and upwards of Tuesday morning, is going to be a time frame to watch for multiple rounds of complex of systems like squall lines, multiple rounds. The first time frame to watch is going to be that late Saturday night into early Sunday morning time frame. After that, we can't really get specific with you guys, but another round be possible Sunday and also on Monday, perhaps into Tuesday morning as well. So just kind of pay attention here. Multiple rounds are possible. Confidence is low in exact areas, timing, etc. But just here communicating that to you guys.
Have a good night to you as well, Fancy. Thank you for tuning in. Yep, Sunday's evolution definitely could inhibit or limit Monday's outlook, but we'll see. I think the greatest threat for severe right now is on Monday. In terms of probabilities, of course, that would be the slight risk being into southern Michigan. And that's day 4, so that's pretty great confidence for being 4 days out. That we'll see some sort of probably damaging wind threat at some point on Monday. But again, that's 4 days out. We're watching the models right now roll in, and they've been switching every hour for our Sunday stuff. So I'm sure something like that will happen for Monday. Nope, no dance party tonight. We're still far ways away from 20K on YouTube here. If you guys went on a YouTube subscribing spree, we would get there tonight, but again, that is free to do. Tomorrow night looks relatively quiet for the most part, unless you're in the Western UP. Again, this is your slight or your marginal risk for Saturday. It's shown on the screen there. Again, that's going to be mainly Saturday afternoon and evening, probably for the UP. And then that marginal risk is mainly for Sunday morning. So if you live in or are visiting the Western UP tomorrow night, you want to be watching out for damaging winds. Again, kind of the same mode where you have the damaging winds crossing most of the peninsula. Don't be too glued to the radar. Yeah, we're going to try and sleep tonight because we don't know how much we're going to get the next couple nights. Again, with evolution.
I have to be up late either way tomorrow. So
yeah,
Joel will sleep. I'll probably be getting home as the storms are going to be happening. So I might just jump on as soon as I get home.
Y'all are stuck with me tomorrow.
Joel's got it covered.
Yep. You guys sleep? Yeah, surprisingly. Not very well sometimes, but we do.
These past couple of nights have been good to catch up, though. I don't know about you, Joel, but I've been trying to catch up at least.
Kind of, yeah.
I feel pretty well rested.
Yes, good place to go in the event of a tornado or damaging winds would be a bathtub. Make sure to cover your head. Is the largest source of injury when it comes to severe winds and stuff like that. You want to protect your head most importantly. So a mattress over your head, a pillow works too, or a helmet. So,
and that's only if you have if you don't have a basement. If you have a basement, go to your basement. That's
yep.
your first choice. Jack, thank you for the $5 super chat. Asks, are we expecting tornado conditions this weekend? If so, which day and time frames? I'm in North Fowlerville, Waterville area. So, Jack, thank you. But number one concern is going to be damaging winds. Tornadoes overall don't appear to be a very high concern. It's not going to be a zero threat. I mean, there's going to be a low threat here. And I would say Monday right now has the most attention from us, but don't rule them out, especially Sunday morning would be your first line there. And then after that, I just think Monday would be the second area to watch. And as always, stay tuned to our videos here on YouTube as well as our Facebook page. We'll have updates for you guys regarding any threats like that. But overall risk in this period is going to be low. I think Monday would be the highest concern.
Thank you, Jack. Large metal dumpster in my backyard. If there's a higher chance of being struck by lightning, yes. Anything metal has a better chance. Again, if you're outside in general, though, you're just exposing yourself to the elements. So you do not want to be outside in the event that there's going to be lightning. And that's another thing we haven't really gone over for these MCSs this weekend is there's going to be a lot of lightning potentially, especially on Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, we've been looking at that lightning density on some of our model runs, and it's like maxing out some of the charts, which is crazy. But, that's what happens when you have, potentially 5,000 joules of surface-based cape.
Do I not have lightning density on this? I thought I did. I can get on Weatherbill.
It depends on where you're camping on Saturday too. If you're in the UP, I would say be cautious. If you have no connection, then play it safe and be in your car. But if you're waking up early, at least in the lower peninsula, you should be fine. Just keep an eye out Sunday morning. Again, we were looking at potentially as early as maybe 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Sunday morning in some of those mile runs. But again, that's just one. We could see it move through, midday. This is currently our prepping days. We have some severe weather days on the horizon. So if you guys don't have a severe weather plan in place yet, we highly recommend that you guys do. That involves, stocking your shelters with like food and stuff and non-perishables for like 3 days, because you don't know what scenario you'll be stuck in if your shelter gets, trapped, especially like a basement. Make sure you have flashlights, enough water. Those are just a couple basic things there as well. When you do go to shelter, make sure you have shoes, because you never know what you're going to be stepping onto when you are exiting perhaps a damaged or destroyed structure. So that's another thing. And then obviously preparing yourself before the event in terms of warnings is another way. So make sure you have your WEAs on your phone. Those are automatic as long as you have them enabled. So make sure you check your settings. Obviously, we promote our emergency app by the Red Cross, which is free to download on your phones. And those are for any warning. So severe thunderstorm warnings, especially, that you can use it for that. Tornado warnings are very, very loud. You'll never miss them. And you can also turn on critical alerts so that they'll sound when your phone is even on silent. Highly recommend. And then obviously you have your Midland weather radios, which are Also very loud and hard to sleep through as well. And a pee bucket. Yeah, I guess if you want to put that in your spot, there you go. Lori with the great advice there.
Yeah, the Midland radio is loud, very loud.
Mm-hmm. Again, sirens are only meant to be heard outdoors, and they do not sound all the time because they have to turn them off in some cases because they overheat, or they're just, it's the policy. Like they only turn them on for 3 minutes in a tornado warning.
I'm gonna do something here, Joel. I'm gonna do something a little bit different here. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna text you, Joel, a number between 1 and 100. I got a weather radio sitting here. Let's go ahead and give it away right now. One of you guys here in chat.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna text Joel a number just so he has the number as well. But I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. All right. If somebody can guess it head on, the first one I see guesses it will win it.
No, like spamming back-to-back numbers because like that's crazy.
So it's a Midland WR120. Bro, somebody got it already. No, somebody got it. Somebody got it. All right.
It's already over, guys.
Already over. All right. That was. I'll go back up to the top here.
Was it what number? Who was the first to guess it here?
I'm looking. I got it.
It was the third guess in our comment section.
So Safari Lover Girl.
It was 47.
It was 47. That's crazy. That is crazy. All right. So Safari Lover Girl, if you have our email, let us know here in chat.
Or reach out to us on Messenger if you have Facebook. Whatever one works for you.
Yep. So feel free to reach out to us. We'll get that shipped out to you. Man, that was fast. Good.
That was so quick. And there was someone else that guessed 47 like right after it too. It was so close.
All right. Well, there you go. We'll get that shipped out to you probably tomorrow. Saturday. Yeah, probably tomorrow morning. I've been sitting on my desk for the longest time. I need to get rid of it. I already got mine set up. So if you can go ahead and send us an email or message us on Facebook, feel free. Preferably email, though, just so we have similar names so no one's going to fake email us. We will check.
It's asking for our email.
Who? Safari?
Yeah.
Where?
Said, what is your email in chat here?
I got you.
Are any of these Midland weather radios rechargeable, non-programmable? I think you do have to program them.
Yeah, you have to program them. Then as far as charging goes, it's plugged into the wall or on battery power or both. That's your choice.
Yep. HRRR completely loaded there, Ryan. What's that get us through Sunday evening?
Yeah, it should. It's still not done yet. Close. So there's your complex that basically dies over Michigan. And then Sunday night stops about 7 o'clock there. And that's what it looks like. So maybe we'll escape. Maybe we won't.
That's kind of been the theme this year. At least the last couple months, NAM goes crazy. HRRR is like, nah.
Play it by ear. We'll see how the NAM comes out here in about a half hour more. Web, that'd be mainly for the western half of the UP, but also the western half of the lower peninsula should also be on alert for any approaching squall line early morning to late morning Sunday. So like 5 a.m.
When is UP getting storms? Someone just asked.
Potentially Saturday evening.
Yep.
Right now, we think it's going to be a bit later on. Latest model does have a bit earlier time frame. We'll have to adjust if that continues as a trend on other models. But right now, expect it after 10 o'clock. Safari, if you're still watching this, please feel free to send us an email here and let us know so we get the right person. I would hate to have somebody claim it that wasn't you.
Yep. Wayne County, every county, all 83 counties, all on the potential path for this severe weather.
Yep, it's hard to say where though. Whole state should be alert, but all right, gotcha. She just emailed, so we got that.
Yes, Lake Michigan does stop severe weather or reduce severe weather sometimes, usually in the change of seasons when it acts as a stable air. But when the lake's warm and similar to the air temperatures around it, not so much.
Joey, good question there. So the SPC risk does have the western half of the lower peninsula within that severe risk for tomorrow / Sunday morning. However, with these systems and stuff like that, it changes so often. So we're putting everybody on alert here. I do think the risk is highest in the west, yes, but I do think there could be a risk further east as well. Tornadic threat is quite low at this time. No problem, Safari. I got you. Do you think Lake Michigan will cut the threat of severe? So, Heather, good question there. The lake waters are at a point where they are warm. I wouldn't expect it to hinder it much. But with that lake, you never really can be sure. But I would lean on the side of it not affecting it. No, Reagan, no storms tonight. Well, overall organization, no. There are a couple storms out there now. One in Kent County, one in Kalamazoo County, one in Genesee County. No severe tonight, though. First chance of this is going to be late Saturday into early Sunday morning. Can't predict that far out, Skylar. If an organized squall line does come through, could definitely see some considerable warnings again. Wouldn't rule that out, but again, we really can't. That's really a specific question, when we don't have confidence in these.
Depends on how bad that or how, I guess, beefy that 700 millibar jet is.
Right.
Coupled with a 500 millibar, so
it's just really hard to get specific this far out.
Mm-hmm. Can we vote for the Ducks name? No, we have to wait till Sunday.
Well, are we going to be able to do a briefing on Sunday? That's the question.
Guess we'll find out. We'll have to do it during the live stream then.
Only if there's no severe going on.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll keep to our word. For those of you who want a piece of naming the duck, which has been a hot topic on our streams, in our community page, Michigan Storm Community, it's a group, it's not a page. Feel free to go join that if you have not done so already. But there's a post in there that I posted a few days ago asking for name ideas. So feel free to hop on there and go like your favorite name or drop your name that you have. And also liking a comment, we'll vote for that. We'll put them all head to head and see what comes out on top.
Alicia says you are not a subscriber, at least on this account. That might be why you're missing stickers. Or, sorry, a channel member. It's a love-hate relationship with Lake Michigan. A lot of people asking about that right now. Right now, it's not going to hinder as much as like during the transition seasons, I guess you could say, of spring and fall. Yeah, if you got gifted if you were one of the people that got gifted a membership, it does expire after 30 days, so that is on you guys to re-up it. Speaking of gifted memberships, Kevin back with 5 more. Thank you, Kevin, as always, for your support to the channel. Yes, appreciate you as always. And for those who just got 5 gifted, welcome to the team.
See Deb, Kimberly, Susanna, Cherry, and Willing. So welcome to the team, guys. Congratulations.
And again, the way to get a gifted membership here on YouTube is, first of all, subscribe for free, and then make sure to turn on allow gifted memberships.
I see a question here. How do I rejoin or renew? I don't believe iPhone has that option. Android, I believe, does, as well as your computer. You should see a join button when you go to our YouTube page.
More gifted memberships from Jazz. 5 this time. Thank you, Jazz, as always.
Let's see, Corey, Brody, Chris, Cece, and Gemini were gifted memberships.
Welcome to the team for those who got those. Have any more weather-related questions here? Y'all probably have nightmares of my name, LOL. No. Stop it.
We appreciate you, Jess, more than you know. A lot more than you know.
Mm-hmm. Getting into meteorology, how do I get model runs and see what you guys see? You can go to pivotalweather.com is one site. It's free. They do limit some aspects of the site. College of DuPage is also another one that is also free to use, but they don't have that many models. If you're looking for like a paid one, I think WeatherBell is one. Weathermodels.com, I think, is another one. I'm not sure.
Weathermodels.com is a paid one.
Gotcha. Time frame for tomorrow will be overnight into Sunday morning. Unless you're in the Western UP, you could see it a little bit earlier. Kalamazoo definitely in the path. Again, that's everybody for the next couple days. Everyone's in the path. We'll kind of narrow it down. It might be more of a nowcasting event, especially when these MCSs are, they come to fruition. So we gifted 1 membership.
I was testing something.
Uh-oh. Somebody just got gifted a membership on us.
Sue. Can storms get stronger from cold lake waters, like with the April 3rd, 56 Saugatuck tornado? Easton, I don't know of that one specifically, but I can tell you the cold lakes likely don't have a positive effect on any type of storms.
No, because it's a cold, stable layer. But it started as a water spout pretty close to shore, so there was a little bit of land interaction already before it came on shore. Took out that lighthouse, and then it moved up in the Grand Rapids area. That's when it really started kicking in. Detroit Legend, make sure you have your accepted gifted memberships on. Community is only on Facebook? Yes. Michigan Storm Community is the name of it. Detroit Legend, I believe there is a setting wheel near where you gift memberships that I think you can click on, and then there be like a sliding bar. It should say allow gifted memberships. One of the mods might have a better idea of where that's at, though. Yes, 1956. Water spout came on shore, turned into an F5 tornado. Yes, and if you are trying to get into that Michigan Storm community, make sure you do answer the questions again. Otherwise, it's an automatic reject. That's just our community rules. There's 2 questions. It's just where are you from, and do you accept the community rules? That's all it is.
Our moderators are also very not lenient, but very on top of things. So make sure you guys are following those rules, please. That's all we ask.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, thank you for getting 5 memberships. Appreciate your support of the channel. Welcome to the team, guys. Looks like we have Legendary, Jade, Terminator, Little, and Earl. We're gifted memberships that time. Well, what do you think, Joel?
I think we're about set to call it a night again. I'll be back probably tomorrow night. Ryan will have a video in the morning too, most likely, if he has the time for it, of course.
Yep. That'll be up probably around noon. Earlier for members, but roughly around that noon time frame for public.
Yeah. Last time we had the severe winds in Grand Rapids, that was June 25th, right? Sounds about right.
It was 25th. I'm not sure you're asking me or somebody in chat.
No, I was asking you.
Yeah, 25th.
Freedom, hurry up and ask it. Lake breeze boundary potential. Tomorrow, yeah. But we need a strong surface wind, I guess you could say. We haven't really got much low flow. Sorry, sometimes the comments get buried. If it's a super chat, we usually see it because it pops up as highlighted in here. Lexi Myers, welcome to the team here at MSC. Thank you for your support of the channel. Hope you stick around.
Thank you, Lexi.
It looks like Alicia is back on the team here as well. Becoming a member. Welcome back. Thank you for your support. CD-sized hail from Barrel in Texas, true. Oh, boy. Did they get hail during that?
They did get hail during that.
Okay. I was more paying attention to the 95 tornado warnings issued in a day down there more than anything, but...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did get hail. I don't recall what day and what locations, but I remember seeing videos of it.
Mm-hmm. Quick update for our paid members here on YouTube. We might have more tiers coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. Ryan and I are in discussion right now of what we can add. So,
yep.
CD size hail is a real thing too. It has happened before. I think biggest hailstone's like 8 inches in diameter.
Yeah, it's some ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
I do want to wrap this up here pretty quickly or pretty soon.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
It's only about an hour or so, hour and 15. So overall reminder / refresh recap. There are 3 days here per the SPC of severe risks, starting with Saturday, perhaps evening into the overnight hours. We also have one here for Sunday and also for Monday as well. The first time frame to watch over multiple days here is going to be tomorrow night into the early morning hours of Sunday. The UP could see storms roughly right around 10 p.m. or after, perhaps a bit earlier if this latest model is any indication of what's to come, but expect it after 10 p.m. for the UP, Western UP, should I say. That should track more so to the east-southeast towards us here in Michigan. More storms might pop up closer to midnight in Wisconsin. Those will track potentially eastward here into western lower Michigan. Right around 2 in the morning, those could be on the stronger side of things. But again, these forecasts are all fluid. So what we're going to tell you guys is take it one day at a time. How each day or how each complex that comes through will affect the next one. So that alone will shrink our confidence very, very low. The first time frame, again, tomorrow night into early Sunday morning, and then again, perhaps Sunday evening, and then again, perhaps on Monday. But we'll wait until we get through Sunday morning first before we start focusing on Sunday evening and Monday as well. We'll keep you guys updated throughout this period to expect multiple chances of severe weather statewide. Damaging winds should be your primary concern. The hail risk is on the low end. The tornadic risk is also on the low end of things, with the most concerning day right now does appear to be on the Monday time frame. So if that trends that way, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll update you guys on the Facebook page, as well as YouTube videos every single morning pumping out. So feel free to follow along with us if you haven't done so already. Excuse me. I got a crack in my throat, but that's gonna be your general gist of things. Okay, guys.
Were you gonna say smash that like button?
I was gonna try, but my throat just had other plans. So with that being said, guys, I think we're gonna pop out of here. We'll be back on here. Well, Joe will be back on here perhaps tomorrow evening for a briefing. I'll have the video update for tomorrow. I'll be absent tomorrow, going to out of state, light some fireworks off. So I'll be back tomorrow late. So hopefully Sabir can hold off until I'm back. But if not, Joel's got you. So
you bet.
With that being said, we're going to pop out of here. You guys have a safe night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay tuned to the page, both Facebook and YouTube, for updates.
Yep. Follow if you haven't. See you, everybody.